Hello, welcome back to the Football Terrace. I hope you're all having wonderful starts to your day. It's a beautiful Sunday. It's a horrible Saturday. Rain, sleet where I was. It was vile. It's a beautiful morning. And we're here to talk a bit more football with you as always. As you can see, boxes in the background, packing up, getting ready to move, which means the new studio is just around the corner. So I wanted to say, first of all, a massive thank you to everybody that continues to support this channel, whether it's via our Patreon page, and the link for that is in the description below, whether it's you guys that are continually hitting that like and share button, everybody that contributes via super chats, and of course our title sponsors, the Football Index. If you guys want to get involved in that football stock market, get that downloaded now and use our promo code TFT20 to get your free £20 deposit. Now, I think most people expected to see Man United look at making a signing or two in January. And the Mail on Sunday had an interesting story, and we're going to delve into some detail. I want your views and your opinions. Rivals are going to be laughing in my view. And for me, this is just further because of the history we have with the Glazers, their judgment calls, what Woodward has done. This for me echoes the story that came out yesterday that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a dead man walking at Manchester United. But do me that big favour, hit that like button, please. Let's get this to over 1,000 likes. And if you've got a platform like Twitter, Insta, Facebook, please share this live stream now so all your friends and family can come and get involved as well. Now, what the story is basically alluding to, and I'm going to get this up now. Let me move this over here so I can see it properly. But the headline is very simple. Man United rule out spending in January because they want to stick to a strict policy. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's move for Lyon striker Dembélé will be delayed until the summer. And there's loads of sub-headlines here. It says Man United want to use a Spanish consultancy service, who I've then gone and researched. Their name is called Driblab. Now, you can go check out Driblab. They're based in Madrid. And what they basically do is they're a scouting network that uses data, which generally runs along analytics to assess players. And I think they have over 65 to 70,000 players on their database that they monitor. I don't know the ins and outs of it. By all accounts, there are a large number of football clubs that are already signed up to it. The majority of La Liga use it, and I read somewhere that Nottingham Forest use this as well. And this is the catalyst as to why, according to this news article, according to what the Glazers and Man United have released to the press, as to why they are going to block any January transfers. They want to stick to a plan. They want to make sure they're identifying the right type of player, and they don't want to get their hands burnt again in January as they did with the signing of Alexis Sanchez. And when you read the article, and we'll go through some of it on here, it says Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants Man United to use. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to sign Moussa Dembélé amongst other players in January, but Man United want to use a giant Spanish consultancy service to help the club's recruitment drive. United have been recommended that they join the client list of Madrid-based consultancy Driblab, which has a detailed database of more than 100,000 players and potential signings. A dozen clubs in the Liga are already subscribers, as are Nottingham Forest, who used the available information before making a number of signings in the summer to aid their promotion bid to the Premier League. Driblab evaluates the strengths and weaknesses of players from the age of 16 in more than 100 different competitions, down to the detail of how injuries affected their ability to run and kick a ball. They also use advanced algorithm. That's the bit that worries me. It's algorithm here. Algorithm to draw up an expected goals formula to see if attackers and goalkeepers are performing above or below standard. I just feel that scouts can do this job. Get professional scouts. Anyway, though Man United have a worldwide scouting network team that feed information into the club in order to make recommendations to transfer chief Ed Woodward and Matt Judges, there is a feeling that the club have to embrace modern technology as well to unearth bargains like Liverpool did with Philippe Coutinho. The question is, did they use this kind of system? Doesn't tell us that, right? Someone says algorithms are good. They are good. They are good. They don't tell you everything, do they? Because every kind of, an algorithm only tells you what the data, what the person who programs it wants it to tell you. You need to use that naked eye too. United are committed to rebuilding their squad as they currently sit 12th in the Premier League. So far, they have relied on the eyes and ears of staff and now want to go down a more futuristic route. They have given transfer chiefs Ed Woodward and Matt Judges the names of half a dozen targets, and United are prepared to wait to the summer until making big signings. It goes on to say, Lyon striker Moussa Dembélé, who is 23, is believed to be on Man United's wish list, but the club are preparing to wait to sign him rather than pay the club's asking price of £71 million, which would smack of a panic buy. And it goes on to talk a little bit about that. Now, how do I say this? I'm split. I'm split down the middle with this story. Because on the surface, when you read it, it appears sensible to not panic buy. It appears sensible to, along with your scouting network, use an algorithm and database and digital consultancy in many ways to assess the players you want and maybe unearth gems that you haven't come across, or maybe be highlighted to, okay, there's this young player in Germany, and then you go and physically scout the individual. I think that is a sensible thing to do. And maybe Man United are building this into their practice anyway. But what stands out to me and what worries me about this is that it's just being used as an excuse to not back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer further. As a general rule, the club have waited until a manager is mathematically out of the top four race before sacking them. They did it with Moyes, and they would have done it with LVG had he not been in an FA Cup final. Jose's was a little different, but of course we were well off the pace at the point that he was sacked anyway. And I just sort of look at this situation with Solskjaer and think, because I don't trust the Glazers, my mind is saying, is this just media spin and PR for them not to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer further? Glazonomics, a lot of people call it. The getting rid of Lukaku and Sanchez and all these other big players was just the way of reducing the outgoings to make up for the fact that there's no Champions League football. Because on the surface, it sounds like a great idea, and maybe we will wait until the summer and we'll buy the right players. But this squad is so it's threadbare. We have no strength in depth. The academy players, for me, barring maybe Mason Greenwood, are not ready to take the first team by the scruff of the neck. They need a year or so out on loan. They need to toughen up and need to play regular football. So United need to sign. And for the Glazers to block January transfers, for them to stop, they do realise that Moussa Dembélé, who if you just go and search him right now, and I haven't done this, last time I checked, he was doing quite well this season, right? Let's just go look at what he's, as a striker. Most important thing you look at as a striker is just his goals. And the more they score, the more expensive they are. This season already has 6 goals in 10, right? Which is pretty damn good. 6 goals in 8 league games is really, really good for Lyon. He's going to cost 71 million now, and he's going to cost 71 million plus in the summer. And for me, if it's a panic buy, then why have we deviated from the summer's plan of identifying the right types of individuals? If it's just a name that's been plucked out of obscurity, then you reject it now and you reject it in the summer. Surely anyone that we're looking at in January has to be players that we have already been scouting, that the management, the Ollie and the club have already identified as people that have the ability to play in our team and have that mentality that they're looking for. Now, we don't know, we don't know the sort of exact blueprint of the player they're looking for. It's only media speculation generally. That's something that United are never going to release to the press, ever, no matter what. However, let's just say we're looking at Madison and we're looking at Dembélé and we're looking at Bruno Fernandes. Why would they block them just to sign them in the summer? The only reason I think they would block them is that the club are looking to sack Ollie and maybe they're going to go in another new direction, which would be the biggest mistake they can make, because it means even the three new players that have come in this year already could end up being surplus to requirements in the next year or so, depending on who the new manager is and the kind of player that he wants, if there is a change in philosophy. If we're not changing our philosophy, if we're not changing our style of play, if we're not going to change the direction that we're moving in, then they're not panic buys. They're essential. They're essential for the position that Man United find themselves in right now. I get, when you read this article, it's presented in such a way that makes you think, oh, that's a good decision. But when it comes to the Glazers, I don't trust what's going on behind the scenes. I don't trust them enough to sit there and think, okay, maybe they have got the best interest at the club at heart. I even think, I think they'll start using this drib lab. I just think that it's going to be a cheaper option than paying for a worldwide scouting network. As much, I think something like DribLab is brilliant to go alongside what you have as a thing. I think they're going to go, right, let's scale down our scouting operations and let's basically use this computer game, which might just be a slightly more advanced version of Football Manager. I don't mean it with any disrespect. It's a consulting thing. Yes, it runs on algorithms. Yes, it will be able to tell you, oh, this guy, a bit like Moneyball. This guy completes this many dribbles and scores this many goals. This player was great, but after his injury, these statistics have dropped back. And that's brilliant information, but it should be to complement what true scouting professionals see. Does he match? I mean, how can this algorithm tell you about a player's character, tell you about a player's professionalism, how a player acts under pressure, how they act when they're in good form, how they treat their teammates, what they're like as a person behind the scenes. So for me, it's presented well as an article. And you'll probably find that this Sunday Mail journalist, whose name is Joe Bernstein, he probably has a good connection to the club and he's going to present it in a nice way. That way he gets exclusive later on down the line. But for me, there's a couple of things at play here. One, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a dead man walking. He's going to be gone very, very soon. Secondly, I think they're going to change direction again and go for another manager who will just want to change the philosophy up again, which means the players are going to have to go through months and months and months of new training regimes, new football, new patterns of play, which is never going to be great for the youngsters developing. I think they're going to try and scale down the worldwide scouting network that we have. And the reason I say that is because there's been go back and look at and I want to find out his name now while I'm talking to you, because Man United scout and then put Woodward in. I'm sure that will come up on here. This already come out here. So what's his name? Man United scout was removed. I want to find his name. Yeah, Derek Langley. Spoke very candidly about he was finding these top level players, recommending them to Woodward and the club, and his ideas kept on being rejected. He basically said they were disrespecting seasoned professional scouts that were identifying amazing talent. And the two players that they rejected were Frankie de Jong and De Ligt. They were told, no, we don't need them. We don't want to look at them. I feel like Woodward and co, the final part of this is Ollie's dead man walking. They're going to change direction again. And then there's Glazeronomics. They don't want to spend big in January. They're going to wait until the summer when we actually need to spend big now. They're going to see what's going on, how the land lies then. Equally, I think they're going to try and scale down our scouting network and go down this computerized, algorithmic, futuristic way of doing things, which for me is crazy. You're basically using FIFA and Football Manager to pick your players. For me, I have such a problem trusting any decision that the Glazers and Woodward are making. It's unbelievable. But look, I'm going to jump into your live comments because they're the most important part of this show, as always. We actually got a super chat that's just come in here. It says, hi, what's going on, Terry? Can I get a recap? We just recapped it, but I'll go through it for you, mate, as you put a super chat in. Man United have blocked all January transfers, according to this Mail on Sunday article. The reason they're doing that is they don't want to panic buy, and they want to start using a Madrid-based consultancy called DribLab. DribLab are basically a very complex computerized algorithm that assesses between 65,000 to 100,000 players from across multiple leagues and competitions. Just basically assessing their stats and they're able to provide you with as much data on these individuals as they can. I think, though, this is a way of removing Ollie, not giving him any more money that he needs now. I think they're going to change direction again, and I also believe they're going to scale down the very expensive scouting network that we have across the globe, and they're going to start using this computer-based technology to do it. Now, if they do all these things that I say, and it turns out to be beneficial for the club, I'll apologise for getting it wrong, no doubt, but I just don't trust them. Jaden here says, "Hi Terry, Glazers will invest, no doubt, mate. Your club's on the stock exchange, and they have to have sponsors, otherwise they won't be able to take money out of the club. Business is business." Yes, no, I get that, and they will spend money, but we need to spend money in January. Waiting to the summer for me is a huge mistake, because we don't spend in January, Man United could get relegated. I truly believe that. Joe Barnes says, "Liverpool use computer-based science." Yes, like I've said, I think using this computer-based science is sensible. I think it's sensible. And I think it's a great way to modernise your scouting. I've already stated that. But I don't trust the Glazers. I don't trust them. I think what they will do is scale down the scouting network and rely on this too much. They, for me, will look for the economical, or Glazonomics. How can we scale down costs? Rather than using it as an additional cost to make our searching for players better, I think they'll scale down the number of scouts that we've got over the next 12 months. And they might, they'll use natural attrition for it as well to be very smart. And natural attrition is a great way of removing workers without people noticing. When a big bank or a big organisation announces 10,000 job cuts, everyone is crazy angry at them, right? They're, "Oh, you're scumbags, you bastards, what about people's jobs, computerization, digitalization, ruining, costing people income." What a lot of organizations do, though, is that they bring in the technology, and then as people in jobs leave, retire, get promoted, a few get sacked, what they do, for every 10 people that leave, they replace 1 or 2. So they use natural attrition to move things on. So there won't be an announcement. I guarantee you, I don't know how we get the information, but however many scouts we have right now working for us permanently or on a contractual basis, I bet if we use this Drib Lab, I bet you in 18 months we're 50 to 60% light when it comes to the amount of scouts out there actually physically assessing players. And that's where I think it's different. Now, if Liverpool have also reduced the number of scouts they use and use these new futuristic algorithms to do it, then I'll bow down to superior knowledge and say I am wrong. But I don't think it. There's an article here that says Man United will follow the patient approach taken by Liverpool in the transfer market when the window reopens in January. They're looking to modernise the scouting network. And it speaks very much of copying that Liverpool thing. But I don't think it's panic buyers. I don't think it's a panic buy. As long as, listen, if Moussa Dembélé and any other player we've been linked with in January are not players that have been on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's radar, then that's cool. That makes sense to me. Absolute sense. But if they're players that Ole wants, why are they panic buys? They're not panic buys. They're players that he has identified that he thinks he needs. Now, what you should be doing between when he identified them it might have even been March. Who knows when he identified them? Let's just say June, to be fair. They should have been getting assessed. They should be getting assessed by the scouts all year. It's quite a while between now and January, right? How long would it take to sign up to Drib Lab and go, right, we want these 3 players. Can you give us the data on them? That's what don't make sense. That's why it's bullshit. And the more I sit here and think about it, the more anger I'm getting. And I get your point. Like, Liverpool use it. But it's to complement everything else they're doing. Think about it. Let's just say we want Moussa Dembélé now. How long does it take to get the reports from Drib Lab? Is it really going to take until January? It's months away. You could get the reports. You could have your scouting reports. You can get your normal reports, and then you can watch him. And you can use all that information to assess whether it's the right option or not. Now, you may not think the player is worth £71 million. That's another conversation. But not wanting to pay the asking price doesn't make it a panic buy. Equally, if Dembélé is the man, if he is the guy that's going to improve your team, that's going to move you forward, okay, he's £10 million overpriced, but he's still the right guy. Buy him. It's only a panic buy. It's only a silly purchase if you don't do your due diligence. My point is, we're not sitting in the middle of January and suddenly the club have had this an epiphany to start using this Drib Lab algorithm. They can use it now, today. It can't take that long to sign up. And surely they've already been scouting these players. And if they haven't, that proves again that their decision making in not doing it has affected their judgments, which has now left us in another dangerous position. We're up shit's creek without a goddamn paddle. Sorry, it just annoys me. Do you think it was Woodward who rejected Bruno in the summer because he gives the ball away too much? But does he give the ball away too much? Does he give the ball away too much? Let's go and have a look at whether he gives the ball away too much. Everybody says he gives the ball away too much. I don't even know if it's true. Let's go and have a look at that. And this is the point. This Driblab thing, I can get this information now off the internet. So how good is Driblab? I don't know. Anyway, let me click on this league here. Let me go look at this now. Let me go look at this. Let me wait for this thing to load here. By the way, if you haven't hit the like button already, please do. Please do. Right, let's go to player statistics in the Portuguese league. Let's go to offensive statistics and let's go to dispossessed. So dispossessed, Bruno Fernandes is fourth on there. So he's dispossessed around on average twice per game. Twice per game is when he's dispossessed. Let's go back and look at last season so we can look at a greater body, like a huger amount of data, and we can assess that again. So this season, 2 times per game. Last season, okay, 1.8 times per game last season. That doesn't seem huge to me. Let's just go and check that out with some of the Premier League players. And creative players do lose the ball more than anybody else. Let's go to player statistics in this league. Let's go back to last season because we'll have the whole 38 games to be able to assess that with. Let's go look at this. Where's this nonsense that he loses the ball too much come from? I don't get it. Dispossessed. So Wilfried Zaha dispossessed 4.2 times per game. Mo Salah 3.1. Raheem Sterling 2.6. Pogba 2.5 times. Eden Hazard 2.3 times per game. Let's go to the next page. Let's pick up big players. Deulofeu 2 times per game. Firmino 1.8 times per game. So Bruno Fernandes is not losing the ball and being dispossessed any more than top Premier League players. It's bullshit. Whoever says it is not. The thing is, if you go and watch a player, if you don't like Bruno Fernandes, if you're a Man United fan, you don't want him at the club, you could, look how many times he's losing the ball in the game. Where is he losing it and how is he losing it? That's the question. Is he being dispossessed on the half turn at the edge of his box all the time like Fred? That's terrible dispossession. Or is he being dispossessed when he's trying to be creative in the final third of the pitch? Is he losing possession when he's trying to play cutting balls, when he's trying to create opportunities and chances? Top players lose the ball a lot. Let's look at pass completion is an interesting one for me. So if you look at the pass completion stats of top creative players in the league, right? Tell me someone who thinks a top creative player in the league. Let's look at the people with top. Like Eden Hazard, his pass completion rate. Last year, most assists in the league, pass completion 84%. Ryan Fraser, who was the second most creative player in the league, 76%. Eriksen, 81%. Trent Alexander-Arnold's pass completion, 77%. Andrew Robinson's 83%. Raheem Sterling's 85%. Pogba's 82%. Creative players, it's lower. Let's go and look at what Bruno Fernandes, the creative players, it's always lower. Let's go look at Bruno Fernandes and see what his pass completion rate is. Oh, he loses the ball in too many passes. All this time, too many passes. I guarantee you it isn't that high. Let's go to, we have to go and check the, let's go to passing. Let's go to, we have to click on assists though because, sorry. Let's go, because they put them up at the top. 76%. Pretty much the same as all those other players that I've mentioned. Let's go back and look at last season though, because we've got a greater body of games, so it might be a bit better this year. Let's go to it. We'll just put assists at the top because we know he's the top guy for assisting, right? 13 assists last year. Pass completion 75%, which is pretty standard. Pretty standard for a creative player. It's an act, and this is my point. If we really want Bruno Fernandes, he gives the ball away too much. No, he doesn't in comparison to other creative players and other goal-scoring and creating midfielders across Europe. It's pretty standard. And it wouldn't be a panic buy if you've done your due diligence. Speak to this company, Driblab. They might be great. Get the algorithms, do the research, speak to the actual scouts. But whoever has created this notion that he gives the ball away too much doesn't understand football. He doesn't. He simply doesn't. All creative players generally you'll find between 72 and 86% pass completion. The deeper lying midfielders, they're always in the plus 90s because they're a lot more sideways. They're there to keep the ball flowing. They're not looking for those cutting passes. Every time Trent Alexander-Arnold puts a cross in, it's a pass, So if no one gets on the end of it, it's a fouled pass. But actually, it could have been a brilliant cross, but nobody got onto the end of it. That's why these algorithms worry me, because the stats only tell you one thing. If I play an amazing pass into the box, but my striker doesn't make the right run, that just shows an incomplete pass by me, right? If you're just gonna, you played 2 incomplete passes today, that was terrible. Why were they incomplete? Was it the actual player passing the ball's fault? That's what I mean by you can't get rid of these scouts, bruv. You've got to assess these things properly. And I'm not even a football man in that regard. Anyway, we had another super chat come through here. I've got to go back and find it. So many comments. It says, I feel like it's a scheme for cutting costs. Bashir, mate, that's my train of thought. That's what I think. That's what I feel in relation to this. I think exactly the same as you, my man. I really do think it is. Let's do a few more comments here. Terry, once we get Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, Pogba and Martial back and Rashford back on the left, we will be fine. No need to panic. No chance of relegation, guys. Do you know, James, great point. I'm not going to challenge that. I think it's a fair thing to feel and say. When we had those guys, you got to remember, those guys were in the team when we couldn't beat Wolves away from home and we couldn't beat Crystal Palace. And only one of those players was missing when we couldn't beat Southampton. And only one of those players was missing when we struggled to beat... only 2 of those players were missing when we struggled to beat Rochdale. We shouldn't need all of those players in the team. We had a couple of those players in the team where we couldn't beat AZ Alkmaar. Sorry, not AZ Alkmaar, scrap that last bit. We had a lot of those players in games where we failed to perform. And I get people think, they're going to come back and we're going to be flying. But that isn't a prerequisite. That isn't a guarantee. And if we get them back and we're still not flying, we're not performing, trust me, that's when real panic is going to set in. I hope you are right, though, my bro. I hope you are right. Look at Fred's passing statistics before he came to the Premier League. But Fred's not a creative midfielder, is he? So what does that matter? Why not give James Garner a chance? Think he would fill a hole at the moment. Yeah, Lee, I've been surprised that James Garner hasn't had an opportunity yet in this Man United team, especially with the injuries and the lack of performances in midfield. I agree with you on that. This is from RG Music, who says Glazers' management of Man United is as organised is an organisation is autocratic. Yeah, yes, of course. There is an air of that, mate. I think they come in and look, there has to be sometimes. There has to be an element of that. And listen, democracy is great, but within any organisation, you have to sometimes have that person that has absolute power that can come in and overrule things. You have that in companies, you have it in organisations. You can talk to your workforce and ask for their opinions on things, but sometimes you as an individual have to make decisions. Happens at home. I try my best to be really fair with my kids and take their suggestions on things, but sometimes I have to lay down the law. The problem you have is if you don't have the knowledge or the ability to make informed decisions, it affects your judgment, which leads to too many mistakes. That's the issue for me. Terry, why didn't you support Spurs like your dad? Because my dad never made me. He told me I could support whoever I wanted. My dad's great like that. How much would it take a billionaire to buy United? Don't think a lot of people would like to buy. Look, Man United is valued at 3 to 4 billion, so it'd be somewhere in that region. Same team lost 4-0 to Everton last season. Now Everton are second bottom. This could end a golden year for Liverpool, United. And for Liverpool, if United and Everton are both relegated and Liverpool win the title. Yeah, can you imagine? That would, you wouldn't be able to show your face as a Man United or an Everton fan for a long, long time. Honestly, the United transfer regime is an absolute shambles. how no one higher up hasn't been replaced in United's worst period in a decade is mind blowing for an organisation this big. Yeah, mate, I agree with you. I agree with you. The mind boggles. The mind boggles on that every single day. But listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you very, very much. You know, I was out last night and I bumped into a few people. A few people come up and said hello, and they, you know, face to face told me how much they're really enjoying the channel. And like I said to them, I'm going to say to you now, the reason this channel is growing the way it is because of you all. The reason we do these 25-minute, 30-minute live streams on one particular subject rather than just like a little 5-10 minute video is because we like to delve into things in more detail. I love your views. I love your opinions. It makes me think about things, challenges my opinion. And look, again, when you read an article, when you watch a video, when you listen to a podcast, you create a perception of what's going on in your mind. This is what this community is about, us talking and interacting live, because I have my view. Quite often, at the beginning of the video, I have my view. By the end of it, it's changed. And everyone knows with me, I'm not one of these Man United fans whom... or football fans. This is my view. I'm sticking to it. I'm never going to change. I'm open to having my opinion and my thoughts change every single minute of every single day. But listen, until next time, take care of yourselves. God bless. Hit that like button. Big shout out again to our title sponsors, the Football Index. Please do us a massive favor and get their app downloaded. Sign up with the promo code TFT20 to get your free £20 deposit. And also a big shout out to all the new people that have signed up to our Patreon page for as little as £1 per month to help support the growth of the channel. But until next time, take care of yourselves, God bless, and we'll see you all again soon. Bye bye.